Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the X Button Season 4, Episode 28, after a month-long absence. This is your host, Alejandro, finally making his long-awaited return after his last appearance during the milestone 150th episode.
This is the actual father, Paul. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, it actually happened because, Paul, your baby was born literally the week after, right? We were able to record.
We wrapped up just in time.
Yeah. And then the baby's
Holy
there.
smokes.
Yeah.
So my baby is now 3 months old as of 2 days ago.
Oh, yes. Can you believe that? It's kind of wild.
He's huge. He looks just like us, and he acts just like I did apparently as a baby. So that was just... what a time.
Yes. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, like they usually say. But Paul, that was a long 3 months. I try to keep the fort going over those 3 months, at least for the first two. I was able to book in a few guest stars. I had to do a lot of the solo shows there. And then things happened in July that shall remain nameless, that basically took me out of commission for an entire month. That included an entire move. So it's like a lot happened in the final. Yeah, it's life stuff. What was funny is that I had mentioned that it was going to be probably a month in the final episode that I recorded. That was when Dungeons of Hinterberg and Kunitsugami and Flintlock came out, and there was an episode just on that. It was like a 45-minute episode, and I had mentioned it was going to be a month, and then halfway through the show I was like, maybe we can do it in 2 weeks. I was such an idiot for having said that it was going to be 2 weeks, because the week 2 was like the knee deep of all the crazy stuff. But it's all done. Like, we're all in different eras now. With the show is back. That was needless to say, that was a very well earned rest, because for a show that we usually don't stop unless it's the holiday break. But now we're back, and we have tweaked some stuff. Like, we were kind of like in the month, like planning on your return, and just to kind of give a little bit of a housekeeping. Some of the format of what we're doing is gonna be like tweaked around. Obviously, we're always gonna be talking about the games that we've been playing, but the news section that used to take the majority of the show kind of had been dividing like the big news parts to just headlines. It's just headlines now. It's just gonna be the headlines, and if you're interested in the news that we give the headline to, I'm just gonna tell you where you can go look for those. And maybe a new segment could be where like a topic of conversation, but kind of similar to what we did briefly when we were doing 2 recordings for a single episode. Remember back in 2021, Paul, that I said let's just bring back topics, and topics are gonna like be ranging from either a cool topic that you bring, a big news like we're gonna be talking later today,
right,
or a big game that we're gonna talk. Not spoiler cast, just focusing on just trying to give a spoiler-free like impressions of maybe a big game that we really want to talk about. That could be like that week's episode, so we can kind of keep the shows tighter, because Paul is a dad now, so now we have to be a little bit more respectful of his time. And I kind of want,
the clock is literally ticking at all times now.
Exactly. So it's like I'd rather that, because I miss you. You have no idea how much I miss you, and how much
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're back, even though you never left for me, because we were always in that chat. But
that's the best part.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's just a reminder with all that housekeeping out of the way, that yes, this is the X Button podcast, our gaming podcast that posts every Thursdays from 10 a.m. onwards, God willing, available on the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escapegaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. I don't know why I say Thursday. Scratch that, it's Fridays. So,
yes,
because we record on Thursdays. Yeah, we're recording. Yeah, we're like trying to shake off the cobwebs here, people.
Yeah, but that's the rough part of it is the best part. You know, you just kind of roll with it.
Exactly. So yeah, that was housekeeping introduction. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Paul, I have not heard from you like officially from like games that you've been playing, and just think about how much came out DLC wise or not from when you left till now. Obviously, just say the things that you want to talk about, even if you want to pay lip service of what you played. So,
yeah, I'm gonna kind of go backwards from what I remember playing, because I've downloaded so much stuff, and played so much and jumped around so much. Actually, first thing is shout out to Armored Core 6 for holding it down right after I had the baby. It was so easy to pick up and put down, like 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. So you could just kind of sit down and play something, especially those late 2, 3 a.m. Play times when you have nothing going on. You just need a little bit of that serotonin hit, and you're just going, and then you just rock it. Fantastic time.
Which, by the way, was your console restart happen? Did that happen during the paternity leave? I'm trying to remember when that happened.
That happened before it, so I did have to restart my playthrough. But I mean, it was just like, I love this game so much, I'm going to do it anyway. And I literally made it back to the new game plus that I was at. Like, I did not take any prisoners in my process of that game, and I burned through it. But I loved every second of going back to that. Next highlight is probably going to be another FromSoft game, Elden Ring. I had a DLC drop, and I played a lot of that while I could, because during that early stages, he did a lot of sleeping, and I had a lot of time for myself to just
and also kind of like what we mentioned with the PS5 restart. What I meant was that something happened to his console that he had to factory reset, and he lost everything.
That's right. That was everything. Not actually, it was even more encompassing than I thought it was, because it was all of my shared account stuff, but also, as you know, you can only save 50 if you have PS Plus, so only 50 slots. It doesn't matter how much or how little the storage space is, which is some garbage. Especially for how many games we play. So I realized that only 50 games got saved, and a lot of them did not make it. So there's even some on my main account that did not make it.
Because the majority go to PS Plus, the other ones can remain like local. So you got kind of screwed with that.
It was a bit of a loss there, but it was whatever in the end. I was like, all right, that sucks. Like Monster Hunter World, that was one thing I went back to and noticed that all my data was gone. So it's like, oh, that sucks. But I just restarted a new character anyway, and I played like the first mission just for the fun of it. But anyway, so Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree was really holding it down for me, and I was really enjoying that going through, because of course I lost all my progress. I had to spend about 96 hours, I believe, just getting to the DLC. And I guess another piece of information that nobody else knew was I was unemployed briefly.
And
I
then
don't know if
back.
I got to announce that.
Yes, the unemployment happened 2 weeks before your paternity leave.
Okay, I don't know if I announced that.
We talked about it here.
Okay. Cool. So that's nothing new then. But yeah, I have another job now. It just means that I have to keep working and doing things, and I drive more for it. But that's whatever. Really good benefits, hopefully, if I can stay there. Yes. Anyway, eventually, of course, because of all that, my time ability to play video games dropped significantly, and therefore Elden Ring had to take a back seat, and I started playing a bunch of other random stuff, and like Rapid Fire, Anno 1800, the 1800s themed city builder, really fun, really simple. I mean, I say simple, but simple for other city builders I've played. And a little broken in some ways. It wasn't very balanced, I found out, because usually in a city builder, the big thing is you trade and you sell and you grow things and you do that. Turns out none of that is actually worth it, because you spend more money growing the product than you do actually being able to sell it. Something broken with the system. But if you build ships and then you sell the ships, you can just make all of the money you could ever want. So after that, I just kind of broke the game, and I went, all right, I think I'm done. And then after that, I jumped into Unicorn Overlord with Alejandro, just begging him to let us buy this game when it finally came on sale, because the last time it was on sale, we forgot to buy it.
Yes. Oh, yes. And this one was, and Unicorn Overlord happened when I was moving.
Also, yes, which is even more of a, like, PlayStation Stars wasn't wanting to work. You were moving. You didn't have internet. And I was just sitting there itching to play something. I even, like, went back to Fire Emblem Three Houses, and y'all, I'm sorry, but that was not a fun experience
you
at
hate
all.
that
I played
game,
about
right?
10 minutes of that game, and I went, no, I just can't do this anymore. And in just a complete opposite experience, Unicorn Overlord was freaking solid. I have like 45 hours in that game. If you want like all of the best highlights of everything that Fire Emblem has to offer, plus more quality of life and not held back by the fact that it's Nintendo and that they have no desire to reach past the 2000s. As far as quality of life goes, that is definitely the game to play, and it's everywhere you could possibly imagine. The art is gorgeous, the character work is really awesome, the strategy actually will kick your ass if you're not careful, and you will just get destroyed. But also it's like not punishing in the way a lot are, because Fire Emblem is famous for your unit dies, they are dead for good. Eventually they added the ability to not have that happen by default. You could still like kind of switch it on. This is no longer that case. If they are injured, it's just they get taken out of the fight and they're fine for the next fight. It's no big deal because you will be fighting so much more. There's a lot of battles, a lot of strategy, a lot of moving around and moving parts on top of that are just there's a lot to do, a lot to keep your brain occupied, and for a console game, and I feel like there's just kind of a desert for console games when it comes to strategy.
Oh yeah.
This is definitely right there, and I love it. And I realize also it reverses the issue that I have with so many turn-based games, because I get so bored with the okay, your characters are sitting here, you have to pick your attack or your move or whatever. For Unicorn Overlord, it just kind of does that part for you. You can actually set it up to do exactly what you want it to do. I haven't even talked to you about this, Alejandro, but you can program every single NPC and unit and individual people within that to control where what circumstances, like coding, they use certain moves, and where what kind of enemies they do, the front row or back row. Do you want your person to be at a certain health level before you use your character to heal them? It is so much like preparation that you can do. It's almost overwhelming, but the way they train you on it is so impressive that I would just truck through. And I'm just going to keep playing it as soon as I'm done with all the other stuff that I'm playing right now. The only other highlight was Dark Forces remaster, remake, whatever it was.
Remaster.
Gorgeous little time capsule to the, I think it's the 90s.
90s, yeah.
Era of both Star Wars and in general, and a time capsule for the games of that time. And man, is that a fun little game to sit into. Like
love it.
The like compressed music files are untouched, the compressed audio files for the like dialogue, the really funny looking art is just like redone and remastered to look as gorgeous and cheesy as it ever was. And it just reminded me of such a time when I was little listening in on that stuff. I mean, the audio was just like the old Rogue Squadron games, and it's just I miss that era, man. Just for lack of everything going on right now, with Star Wars specifically, it just makes me want to go back to that was the old West, man. You had a shotgun blast of stuff. Most of it was terrible, but it all added to something interesting, and that was just one of the cream of the crop games that has stood the test of time. And man, if you like anything about Doom, just go into that. It's got some accessibility options, make your life a lot easier, and it's just fun to sit back and take that in. I don't think there's much else that I really want to jump on off the top of my head right now. It's just jumping around with different games. I downloaded Monster Hunter World because I really want to play Wilds.
I'm so interested in Wilds. So it looks so good.
Yeah, and finding out that you can now do like NPC support crew to come in and play, so you're not just forced to play solo if you don't want to play with anybody. It's just, there's a lot going on that really has me so excited. But that's about it.
Oh yeah, there you go. So you see a shotgun blast of 3 months worth, and I know you even play other stuff like Destiny's, the Final Shape.
Yep.
He also really loves.
Went through that journey and went to the highs, went through the lows, played all sorts of other things that I just can't think of right off the top of my head. And the second you say it, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that too. And yeah, but right now, doing well.
Yes. So what I have been playing, Paul, you have bear witness to my enslavement to
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep.
This man,
yeah.
Listen, y'all, this man has a problem, and it is called Final Fantasy VII and everything involved around it.
Oh yeah,
it's
an
obsession.
Said
the words "villain origin story" just repeatedly for the last 3 months regarding this one game.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like I have a problem. Like my complete this game specifically because this was worse. The last time I talked about it, like in the show, I was platinuming Remake, and I actually platinumed Remake, and then I went immediately to Rebirth to try to attempt it. Guess my hour count. Just guess my hour count, Paul.
Oh, it's got to be in like the 300-400s or something by now.
288.
200. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, 288 hours, and all because I've beaten that game twice now, and I'm doing a third playthrough in hard because I did one in the dynamic difficulty because I wanted to play something harder, but I wanted to experience the story again just to see if I still felt about that game the same way I felt when we did that spoiler cast, which is our most listened episode this year, by the way. I love that because I put a lot of work in that into the B-roll of that one, but I wanted to see if that held up, and then I went to do all the missing trophies that I had, and I'm only literally missing 2 trophies. Beating it in hard and beating the chattily brutal legendary battles. And I tell you, Paul, that whoever designed the brutal legendary challenges, which unlock after you've done all the hard stuff, when you have to do chattily stuff, when you get to Gilgamesh and beat the double summons and beat Gilgamesh, that then he turns into a summon that you can kind of put in, and then Chattely's like, I got something extra for you. And this is a huge list. Oh, whoever designed this is going to hell. It's like if I see that guy on the streets and I know that he designed these things, he's getting some words because they're so tough. They're so damn tough that it's insane that anyone can do any of these legit. There's thousands of biddies of cheese builds now to be able to do it. It is that kind of it is that kind of tough of like 10 round challenges with extremely hard enemies that have all these extra different moves that are kind of like enabled because of the the hard difficulty. They added extra moves to all enemies. Me trying to fight like Rufus Shinra and the Galleon Beast from chapters 11 and 12. Oh, I said some NSFW words when I was able to beat them in our chat. You remember? Yep. That also because they had moves that were not even there in normal and in dynamic difficulty. I was like, how?
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. So like for example, like the Galleon Beast would do like a Devil May Cry style like combo breaker that like automatically melts if you get caught up in that combo, like in the air. And because in that fight you're like stuck with Kate Sith, and you can only change to 2 other ones. And with Kate Sith, you need to have like the very specific. He has a really cool move that if you press square and left, he has an iframe dodge that no one else has. So if you kind of nail that, it can help you in the harder difficulties. But because when I reached that fight, he was like so low on MP compared to my other 2 characters that I intentionally didn't use as much MP, which were Cloud and Aerith. It was like that fight took everything from me until I remembered that there's like a build where you can get like a jewel that can allow you to have the 3 limit break levels unlocked, and then then you can put another jewel to another character that is the limit booster, that it starts the fight with the limit break already halfway through, and then there's a material where you can absorb the limit energy from someone else to the character that has the 3, and then you can kind of like be spamming that, and that's how I was able to beat the Galleon Beast, because there's the level 3 booster for Cloud is like super awesome because he like turns his sword into a tornado. So that can do like a lot of damage. So that was the only. But then I didn't have, when you fight Rufus Shinra, you don't have a teammate. It's a 1-on-1 on Cloud, and that took me 2 days. And my dad bear witness to the villain arc in that one, because I got so close so many times in front of him, and he always kept like, especially when he brings the dog. That dog sucks. that dog like just ruins it. And then you realize, wait, you can perfect parry almost everything that Rufus and the dog does. And when I finally figured that out, I was like, well, okay, I think I can do this, because by parrying I can build my limit breaks, and then I'm just gonna like melt these two guys with the limit breaks. It's so much that it's so frustrating about this game in the higher difficulty, but then it's always with the breakthroughs, like reaching those breakthrough points. Because remember how I told you I need a certain game to come out now, because I think I finally broke with this. And then an hour later I went back and I was like, I did it.
I don't know what goes on in your head when you're like, I hate this game. F this game. I'm gonna go right back to it. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's just kind of like it's the Rocky mentality. It's like something beats you, but then you're like, I'm gonna beat you back. I don't know what it is. That it's kind of like a maybe it's like a manhood thing. Who knows? Or kind of like an ego thing. Your knowing that a lot of
will not allow you.
Yeah,
it's your problem.
Yes, I don't allow myself to walk away for some reason, especially for games that I really love. So that's kind of like the struggle. But literally, I was so in trenches of just being in Final Fantasy VII that I literally didn't play almost anything else, other than just like briefly like trying Unicorn where you got it, briefly trying Dark Forces when you got it. I didn't finish the last 3 games that I mentioned in the last show that I worked. That it was like Path of the Goddess, Flintlock, and Dungeons of Hinterberg. Even though Dungeons of Hinterberg was good.
I forgot to even mention Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Yeah, because there's so much. Yeah, that game is so good. So good.
That is like sitting back on a mountainside drinking a nice warm cup of tea. I think I told you I got like most of the way through. I've got like 6-7 more dungeons left, figuring out the mystery of the whole thing. And I just like paused it and I went, no, I need to like relish this even longer. Because if I'd beaten it, I would have put it out of my mind. I can't do that.
Yeah, and that was kind of like my struggle with Interberg, that it was like, if I'm so locked into another game like I was with Reaver, that I just wanted to get that platinum, and I still kind of want. It's like I feel I do a disservice getting into another game where I'm not in the mood, and then you know what happens when I'm not in the mood to play other stuff. So I know myself so well that I might as well write
Tale Requiem is what I get.
Yeah. I still need to give that game another shot. I'm gonna give it an Xbox.
You need to. I will shame you about it one day.
I know. Yeah, it's just now it's 60 frames now, so I have a reason to go back to that. And
even better.
So it's gonna play even better now. So it's like that was the reason why I was I was being a normie. I was like, the fact that I dropped off Destiny finally completely after Final Shape, I was like, it made me realize that I was treating Reaver like my life service game. It was kind of like both a source of such perpetual like despair, but also my comfort food, and also kind of a sense of comfort, because that world is so beautiful, and me that I needed an escape in that specific month of something that was like so, because that game is very joyful, despite the hellhole that is the hard mode. It's like that game is like so, it puts a smile on my face, the goofiness, this entire world, that I am gonna get that platinum before the end of the year. It may kill me, but I'm gonna do it. So, and then another thing that I'm playing, Paul, I'm as of yesterday, I am allowed to say I am playing Star Wars Outlaws. I was given the code early for it. It's the people that are able to access my account may or may not be able to share. And I'm not confirming.
Honestly, I'm jealous how much time you have to play it. And I cannot even touch it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it sits there taunting me.
Yeah. so it's like I'll be able to talk about it on whether if I finish it for a full review or just to give impressions. I'm allowed to do it on August 26th at 5 a.m. Pacific time, which would be my 7 a.m. Pacific time and your 8 a.m. Pacific time. That's when I'm allowed to say whether I like it or not, or what any other impression. But yeah, I'm currently playing it. And for next week's episode, since we're gonna be doing topics, next week's episode is gonna be all impressions about Star Wars Outlaws. I just kind of want to give a tease for that. That's all that episode what is gonna be. No spoiler cast though. That may or may come later, depending on if it's a game with a story worth doing a spoiler cast on. So yeah, that's all that I've been playing, Paul. But kind of as a benefit for us to not try to go longer, but it's just I haven't really been playing much. The fact that I haven't been reviewing anything, that's was I just feel free to just be like indulge myself in a game that I should have left behind after I did a review back in November and we did a spoiler cut and I'm still playing.
It's been a while since you've really like reviewed something, hasn't it?
Yeah, Stellar Blade.
Oh wow, yeah, that has been a minute.
And when I reviewed May, second week of May, and the game came out in end of April.
Oh
yeah,
gosh, it's what a time.
Yeah, so baby Emrys, your son, was still not born when that happened.
No, he was not.
So that's why I was like, yep, it's like I was supposed to review Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door, and I just dropped off. I kind of I got bored of it, and since we were not given code for it, that's kind of like the thing with season gaming. We're only required to review stuff if we get code of. So like with Star Wars Outlaws, thank God it's a game that I was already anticipating, but it's like now I'm on the hook. I really have to finish it. So that's kind of like the only thing that I can say. The only thing that I can say, and I'm allowed. I saw the instructions. I can say I'm playing it. so yeah, more of that next week. So
their supposed 98 page review book.
Yeah. That's what draws me people like when you get something early, there's some rules that come with it. So
yep.
Yeah, and I did get the one for Rebirth, and it was much shorter compared to what I got for this one. So, but finally, now I know what it's like, right, Paul?
Yep, it's got to be a good feeling, isn't it?
Oh yes, it really
like
is.
You made it.
Yes. Now, Paul, what would have been Press X for some news? That segment is already done. So there's no need for quick headlines this week because we're recording the week of Gamescom. We're opening a live. Geoff Keighley's kind of like self-congratulatory celebration showcase. It always happens where he at least can tell us a few of the missing games that were missing releases for the rest of the year, and maybe some interesting stuff for the next year. So as a topic, we're gonna talk about some of the quick important stuff that was released there, and then we're gonna say what we're most anticipating. Now that we know what the rest for 2024, we're gonna give 5 games that we're really looking forward to. So now I'm gonna shotgun blast read all of this. So and then at the very end, you tell me if something of what was notable for you.
Perfect.
So in Gamescom opening night live started with Borderlands 4 officially announced and coming out next year. I feel so bad for this announcement because the movie just recently came out to both historic catastrophic review and critical bomb. And
I've heard that it's brought a lot of people back to the games because everyone was like, all right, it can't be that bad. And then sure enough, they were like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
At least there's this silver lining. But yeah, it's like, I bet they wanted goodwill heading into like the announcement of the new game. And that probably was not what happened. Then we got new single player campaign details for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You people can go watch the trailer. It was pretty good. Goat Simulator getting a remastered, even though Halo had already been released as a re-release before. They just love re-releasing that game, from what I understand. Techland revealed the next entry in the Dying Light series. It's not called Dying Light 3, it's just called Dying Light the Beast. No release date, but now we know Dying Light still, more Dying Light coming soon. And it seems that you're going to be using guns because that got added into Dying Light 2 because you could. Yeah, so
that was garbage.
Yeah, they showed a new trailer for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, aka Budokai 4, which is still releasing on October 11th. Then they announced a King of Meat, a new co-op combat game for up to 4 players in goofishly designed dungeons. So if you like party games of playing 4 people, this is coming from Amazon Games and Glowmade, and it looked kind of charming if you're into that sort of thing. Then we got a trailer for Link Banner of the Spark releases, which is releasing in early access in October. It's about a girl with like a camera. I wasn't really watching at that point, but I just know that it was released and it's in this list. And then we got Lost Records Bloom and Rage reveals first gameplay trailer and release date at ONL. So this game is pretty much no, actually, the Lost Records is the game that looks like with the game with the camera. This is kind of like a Life is Strange game, and it's coming out on February 18 in early access. And then, I'm out of my element. I'm not reading this right. So yeah, this game, full game. The early access is the other thing. This is a full game that it's gonna release in 2 parts. One in February 18 and another in March 18, kind of like an episodic thing. It's just like 2 episodes. The 8-player zombie co-op shooter No More Room in Hell 2 got another trailer, but no release date still. Arc Raiders, I don't remember what Arc Raiders was. That got
That was like right when I had to do work and I missed like an hour, and then I jumped back in and I was like, okay, what did I miss? And then all the good stuff happened.
Yes, you were jumping at the right part. I don't remember where Arc Raiders. So it's a free-to-play shooter. That it's out sometime next year. Oh, I remember now. I think Arc Raiders is one of the things that Geoff Keighley revealed all the way back in 2021. It still didn't have released it, so now it does. So Infinity Nikki, which was a game that was revealed at the State of Play from May earlier this year. They announced that they have now signed us for the closed beta that the Chinese games always love doing for some reason. It's like a really charming game that has like a very unsettling art style. So you should look it up. So you'll be able to play the closed beta soon. And then Path of Exile 2, which was also at the State of Play from earlier this year, now has an early access release date set for November 15th. And then obviously a new trailer reminding people that Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is still on track for September 9th. That's a game that I'm really looking forward to.
It's
really looking forward to.
Quite enjoyable.
Yes. And then we finally got the first meaty gameplay trailer for Dune Awakening, which it's like a third-person shooter with survival elements set in the Dune universe in an MMO style. I would say like it's gonna be out early next year for PC and then coming to console later. I'm definitely gonna check it out when it comes to console because I'm a new Dune stan after Dune Part 2. So yeah, and then we got Reanimal, the new project from the creators of Little Nightmares. It's so funny because Little Nightmares 3, which was like they took the IP from the creators and gave it to Supermassive Games, also showed up here on the show. So it's like, yeah, the new game by the Little Nightmares guys, and here's their previous IP being like parodied by someone else, also being revealed on this show. So Genshin Impact finally arrives on Xbox on November 20th. It's been like 4 years since Genshin Impact, so of course, like
Genshin isn't on Xbox.
Yeah, it's finally.
I don't think I knew that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's finally gonna arrive on Xbox on November 20th. Then we got another trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds, which has been getting tons of trailers over the past few weeks. That I tell you, people, like Monster Hunter World was real popular back in 2018. If you thought that thing was big,
I remember I played it with almost all of my like normal interested friends who barely play video games, and they were like, "Yo, this game looks awesome," and I was like, yes, it does.
Absolutely.
You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
Yeah, and I love that this new one is like a seamless open world instead of kind of like the segmented like sections where you're like pursuing everything. I really want to see how that looks, and it looks more nimble, but it's still like very Monster Hunter. The game will be an obsession. It's still slated for 2025. No release date yet. I assume by December we'll know because they're oversharing about this game. Fatal Fury: Seed of the Wolves, the fighting, the kind of fighting game. It's coming out on April 24, 2025. So we're finally starting getting more releases for 2025. We got Monument Valley 3. It's out this December. Another sequel for Monument Valley. I think that's like an indie game, if I don't remember.
It's that's the Netflix game. That's only on like their mobile app.
Yeah. So the third one of those will be coming out on December 10th, and apparently it says. The first two Monument Valley games will arrive for its subscribers, and Monument Valley 1 coming September 19th, and Monument Valley 2 available on October 29th. Mecha Break, the multiplayer Armored Core style game, got another gameplay trailer for whatever new additions are coming for it. We got another look for Civilization 7, which for people that really love those kind of strategy games, like they confirmed like a new like mix and matching of like the different civilizations from what I remember seeing, and that's out on February 11th. So the year 2025 is already stacking up. It's a legendary year. Starfield we finally got to see the vehicle for Starfield, which is meant to make planet exploration more enjoyable, and we got confirmation that Shattered Space, the expansion that if you paid the early access last year for Starfield, you get this already included with that. That's out on September 30th. And from some of the details that I saw, it's supposed to be a more curated experience that's going to be very alien-like and with more atmosphere. So slowly but surely, Starfield is like filling in the gaps that we're missing. Then we got Marvel Rivals finally getting a release date because that thing has been like in a closed alpha, out on December 6th. That's probably the game that you were thinking about.
I was thinking about it.
Yes,
that was the one.
That was the one.
That was
December 6th. Yeah. Then we got a look at Prime Video's Secret Level, which is this TV show from the Love, Death, and Robot creator that like makes us all this different IP coming out on December 10th. That looks really
very
cool.
excited about that because I've been one of those people that he said on the stage where he's like, if you've ever seen this and gone, I wish they made a show about this. This is for you. And I went,
yes,
that is me, please. Absolutely. So I was super excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then Towerborn, this like side-scrolling game, the action game that Xbox had been like promoted for so long since like the 2023 showcase, is finally announced to have a release date in early access for PC on September 10th. And then later, the day after, they announced that then the full game is gonna come out until 2025 for Xbox players. So how funny, they get to reveal that game associated with that game, but then like when in its first release, it's Steam first. Or Xbox. We're gonna talk, yeah, something more about them later. And then another trailer for Asian Mythology Retold, which is out next month, available on Game Pass at release. That's out 2 days before Astrobot. And me, as a big fan of Asian Mythology, I can't wait to try it on console. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 gets gameplay teaser and still on track to release next year. This was supposed to come out this year, and it was delayed to 2025. So I look at a bigger, better looking Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Go check that trailer. Blue Bowl Central Batman VR game gets new gameplay trailer, voice cast, and October release window revealed. Like if Batman fans couldn't have it worse, that they had to suffer Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League this year, and new Arkham game that's just VR exclusive and only on MetaQuest 3 out this year. After a little
it's not just VR exclusive, it's very specifically to just MetaQuest.
Oh yes, not even in the PSVR 2 where Batman Arkham VR showed up in PSVR 1. Nuts. Little Nightmares 3 coming out in 2025. Masters of Albion is from Fable creator Peter Molyneux, and him saying that there's no copyright for the name Albion. I'm like, sure, buddy, I want to see if you end up changing your name. Apparently they wanted to mix like something like similar to Fable and a god game and all that. Like Peter Molyneux is the game's greatest snake oil salesman. So it's like
okay, so I'm glad that was the case, because suddenly I was like, oh wow, this guy sounds really impressive, let me see what he's got. And I was watching the gameplay and I went, this looks like a fake ad that you see scrolling Twitter.
Yeah,
I don't know what, power to you if that was your thing, but man, that looked so garbage. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like especially he has not done a game since Fable 3. Think about that. At least a notable game. It's been a while. And he was known as one of the most biggest over-promisers and under-deliverers in gaming. So despite the fact that he created Fable, where those games never really lived up to all the promise he was making, but a lot of people really like the tone and what those games do. Then we got Arena Breakout Infinite, the shooter, is coming out in early access later this year. Unknown 9 Awakening, which is like this mix of like a Tomb Raider Dishonored thing, that's coming out now on October 18th. That's one of the things that I'm more excited about, that I saw that here. Blizzard showed more about the Diablo expansion and Warcraft: The War Within. It always feels like they're blue-balling people into thinking they're going to release an Xbox version of Warcraft, and then it just ends up happening. It's just the most muted announcements ever. The thing that I was most excited for some reason was the first Berserker Kazan. They're holding a closed beta in October this year, and I'm excited because Ben Starr is the voice of Kazan.
I'm so glad that's what got you in, because I've been like a dungeon fighter stan for like 15 years now, and even though I stopped playing the game and suddenly that was happening, I was like, more dungeon fighter content. And turns out, who would have thought, the game looks really good. So
absolutely. Yeah, and the thing is, it always looked good, and it's kind of something that I even forgot to mention that I was playing Black Myth Wukong.
That was a big thing for you.
Yeah, I just got, because I got Autoless immediately, I just kind of forgot. But yeah, Black Myth Wukong, kind of like I'm hoping is the same thing that happens with Kazan, that it's like it looks like a Souls-like, but it's an action RPG, because the more you can kind of see those kinds of games without having to be like, oh, it's a Souls game, and thinking more like, oh, it's using the perspective and some mechanics, but it's not really a Souls-like. That's something that will make me more excited, instead of being like, I don't want to kind of play that, because that was the thing that sold me in Wukong, that it's like, it's still a tough game, but it's a more action-y instead of a punishing game. And then the final two announcements of the Gamescom Open and Night Live, we finally got the release date confirmation for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is coming to Xbox and PC on December 9th. So this is getting the Halo Infinite / Cyberpunk. This is your holiday December game treatment. And then they announced that the PS5 version is coming out in spring 2025. If you were not aware that the console wars were over, the fact that they even announced this on a big show like this was like, it's hilariously and sad, because it's like that's just the state of Xbox. It's like, this was the only exclusive that they really had for this year, and it's not gonna be exclusive soon. But game looks exciting. The game actually looks phenomenal. And Mafia: The Old Country officially revealed. More details coming this December. So if more details are coming this December, maybe imagine if Mafia is also 2025 when GTA 6 is also coming, supposedly coming.
I pray Mafia it picks their opportunity differently. I will say though, because Mafia is going back to their roots on this one, I don't think it's going to cannibalize their fan base as much as it would have if they'd gone like, oh, last one was in the 60s, let's make it even closer to the modern day. They would have been destroyed.
Oh yeah.
But this one, whether it's like, that's got to be, they said the source of the Mafia in Italy, that's going to be like the 20s by easily, if not even
the 1900s. It's the 1900s.
That's like such a different vibe that I think we are safe, quote unquote, knock on wood. I just hope that this does well, because I love me some good Mafia, and going back to the roots was definitely the right choice for them.
The definitive edition of Mafia 1 was so good.
I literally almost downloaded it
again,
and then I got the message for the other thing going on, and I was just like, I'm gonna delete this.
Yes. Oh yeah, I totally get you. But yeah, it's like man, suddenly everything got so dark in my room.
I see that.
Yeah, there you go. Because it's like we're getting so many rains. I'm gonna send you a video of my view of like storms coming. It's like so eerie. I'm gonna of what happened yesterday. Something similar is happening now here. But yeah, this was a decent opening night live. Like always, this is just, I usually use this show as just solidify what we're gonna be eating for the rest of the year. Now it's all set. We know what 2024 is, Paul. And for the last few minutes for this show, we're gonna give our 5 most anticipated games for this year. We can give one and one because we're not doing the least excited. We're just kind of listing, and if we're both excited for that already takes that slot basically. So
sweet.
So just based on so just based on like the games that are still to come. Obviously, I am not listing Outlaws anymore. That would have been
can't do that. At one point before, I think the last couple of weeks, Visions of Mana was going to be on there. Not there anymore.
Yeah, we played the demo. Unfortunately.
Yes. Heartbreaking. Anyway, so I'm going to be a huge normie first and say Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is definitely in my top 5.
Yes, and it got there because of the campaign, right?
Cold War is legitimately just top tier Call of Duty content. I love what that story did, what the gameplay was like. The omnidirectional movement is just Max Payne brought back. Just really excited for that. I do not know what that multiplayer is going to be like, but I'm not looking forward to it. However,
because of the Max Payne style,
because of how garbagely people are going to play that game and break that system so badly, it's just going to make me mad. But just the fact that like I really respect what Cold War did, looking back on it all for what it did. Because like Infinity Ward used to be my golden child, and now it is completely switched for what's going on. But so that was on mine. Was that on yours?
It was not. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, that would have been an honorable mention, but because we said 5 games, so I'm just gonna mention like it would have been. I'm still gonna check it out. It's the fact that we're getting to play it on Game Pass, kind of something that at least this is gonna be the first time we're gonna. It's gonna be big for us that we finally don't have to pay $70 for it.
Unless we somehow get a code for it.
Maybe. Oh yes. So
anyway.
So yeah, Astrobot. Definitely like super highly one of my five most anticipated games of this year. Is like I still tell you, Paul, go back to Playroom. Play through that. Play that as a demo of what you're getting, because that game is so.
I was just thinking about that.
Yes, it should take you more than 3 or 4 hours to play like what is ostensibly like one of the greatest platforming experiences that exists, because it's just oozing in charm, something that shouldn't be this charming, which is kind of like a self-masturbatory celebration of the brand. Like that's at least that's kind of how it looks, but it's like it's done in such a in such a reverent, cheeky, and really cute way of like respecting a legacy from a company that in recent times is not respecting its legacy, and it's so tight and it's like so inventive. There's so much variety within what you can do with each level, that if the variety that it was in the 3 or 4 free demo that you got from this thing, like installed in your console, gets translated to like a 20-hour game, that's gonna be like top tier. And to me, like for me, that I have been like preaching and begging Sony to be like, I know you love your pretentious cinematic over the shoulder third person narrative games, they're good, I get it, I love a lot of those. You need some variety, and this does that. So September 6th for that one. Was that one on your list?
No. Okay. But that would have been my honorable mention.
And an honorable mention for you too.
The next one I got in there is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yes, that's on mine. So that's
definitely in there. Just we have waited for so long for a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed game, and at first I was thinking, oh man, they're too late to it. Ghost of Tsushima already did that. However, I have now been like, as much as I love Ghost of Tsushima, the character work was not there. And I think this can definitely blow it out of the water in that way. It's just the dynamic between Yasuke and
Naoe.
I think Naoe, I think it was their name. Anyway, yeah, so the two of them and all of the other characters involved in that, I think are going to give it a good shot at that. I loved AC Mirage. I actually downloaded it and played it very briefly
again
to get myself ready for Outlaws when I can finally touch that. And how just solid that game feels at times, and it's, even though everyone's like, oh, they reused animations, like, you don't know how video games are made, you stupid dumb.
Yeah, this is the year of the stupid dumb, I tell you. It really is. Because it's like you just understand that it's like, if the animations work, you don't have to do extra just because. It's like be more efficient. We need more efficiency in game making, and the fact that this is the longest in development Assassin's Creed game, 40 years. So and the fact that the two characters feel so different. You saw the clip that I showed you of that, how now it does the eagle drop to the hay, and how Yasuke does that is like he just straight up drops and just breaks the thing. It's like, that's actually really cool. That was very thoughtful.
I love that little detail for sure. Yeah,
it's separating the both gameplay. I feel that's,
you know what, this is what I wanted out of Syndicate.
Yes, with watching my color,
because there was not enough difference between Evie and Jacob. Like there was Jacob. There was supposed to be like the weapons are slightly different, but like in the end you could kind of equip both, and it just felt really the same.
Melee. It was just the melee that differentiates, and the fact that Evie was like slightly better doing stealth because she could turn invisible. But other than that, it's like these are the guys that made Syndicate, by the way. It's so funny that you mentioned it. Yeah, so
it's like it feels like we actually got some like a next step for that.
Yes, so I would have also said Shadow, so that takes care of that. So I have 3 more. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. That would be another one that I'm really, really looking forward to, specifically in the I'm missing my meat bone, meathead kind of like simple shooters. I just need that kind of like taste. I got to see former EC allies and now last in media member Brad Ellis, who I'm a mod for his Twitch streams. I got to see him play through Space Marine 1 on PC, and I'm like, nice. I'm really in the mood for this. Like just this kind of like this co-op kind of shooter, like how we were doing Gears of War. We were gonna try to keep doing Gears of War playthroughs, and we're like, something in that vein. I'm down for that for Space Marine 2. It's like something not pretentious, just gonna be fun. So yeah, the Space Marine 2 is definitely something I'm really looking forward to. The fact that it's 3 days after Astrobot breaks my heart, but it's like I feel I could be done with Astrobot before. So we'll see. But so it is that soon.
Space Marine 2 is on my list as well, so that's definitely on there.
You got 2 more games. I
remember seeing some gameplay of 1, and this just looks like way better version of that. We need that kind of shooter to come back for sure.
Yes.
So do you want me to jump to my next one? You said
yes. You have 2 more games.
That's going to be Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Not on mine.
So it's like, I don't know. I'm just feeling like I'm in the mood for a game like this because I really loved Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance. It got really difficult near the end for me. I don't know. That was like young Paul that didn't understand how to play some of those games, but the fact that I made it there says something, I guess. But it just, that game oozed charm, and it was adorable. I love the music, the way that they're animated in that. This is like my Paper Mario, potentially. I'm a lot less insufferable than those fans.
Yes.
But I would say that this is definitely something that I'm looking forward to.
Oh yeah, honorable. That would have been an honorable. Like, I'll definitely check it out. It's just not as high priority, but it could be when we get there. And then another like high anticipated game for me, I'm gonna have to go with Metaphor Refantasio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's out on October 11th. The next game from the Persona 5 developers. I feel like this has the potential to be one of the most critically acclaimed games of this year, just based on how Persona 5 was like received. And in a year that has just been an embarrassment of riches for like JRPGs, the fact that they're taking the Persona formula, putting it in a fantasy setting instead of a high school setting, that to me I find eventually pretty repulsive after a certain point, because it's a damn classroom instead of something like more fantastical, and mixing like some action elements where you can kind of kill some enemies that if you don't kill them, then you switch to the turn-based stuff. Is like adds a level of dynamicism to their formula that I'm really interested to getting into that one. The setting is right. I know it's gonna be a banger. So this is out on October 11th, and definitely one of the games I'm most looking forward to this year. Nice. You have one more game.
One more. Yeah, and it's the obvious one.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah,
it's the Great Circle.
Yeah, that's in my list too. Yeah, Indiana Jones.
The more I've seen about it, the higher it's gotten on my list for sure. And like, I never got to play Chronicles of Riddick, so I didn't get to like feel the actual visceral reaction to all of that information. But knowing how much people loved it has me excited, just from like an osmosis standpoint, and kind of like a secondhand, oh, okay, so if they're getting excited for this and they have good taste, and that means this must be good. Just for the idea of like the immersive sim aspect for some people, the really deep intricate level design and all of that stuff just has me very interested, and I think I understand more why they did the first person not shooter, but just the first person perspective. Like, even saying like some of the areas are like Hitman levels where you have to like really plan out how you do things, and some of the, I think, social stealth even, which is just like, okay, I'm signed up. Like, let's take a look at this. I'm interested. And just like the way they had the camera, the journal that you get to hold on to, like all of that feels
elements,
really,
the exploration puzzle elements. It's like, it feels so involved and so true to what you would expect from Indiana Jones, as he's like as he's kind of like really being meticulous about like where he explores and all that. It's like, it justifies 100% why this is just not an Uncharted game, because it's like it's going for a different style of game that hasn't been seen in like so long, and it's like so immersive and still considered a GOAT type of game from like the original Xbox days. And this DNA, this is the grandchild of Riddick. So, and that's like that sells me more than just being like, yes, I would have enjoyed an Uncharted style, but then like we know what it would have, especially coming from Xbox, we know what the discourse was gonna be. So, and I'm glad that the previews have been like really, really, really exciting for that one. This would have been another one of my games, and now I have one more, and that'll be The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. So finally, the Zelda where you can play as Zelda, not Link, in the top-down chibi style from Link's Awakening, and finally adding kind of like the immersive civ element of Tears of the Kingdom to a top-down Zelda to make it like a more nimble, more approachable kind of game. And I feel like I'm just glad that Nintendo's still like this late into the Nintendo Switch's life cycle is still being very, very, very bold in like the kinds of games that they're releasing, considering that their next system is like literally close to being released. So yeah, it's like I'm really excited to see it. Obviously I have other games that I'm a little bit more excited, but just like it looks so charming, and I love that they're finally doing something unique with the Zelda franchise. that despite us still not getting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I'm gonna keep beating that drum until the day I die for us to get a re-release of those games. When it's still like new kind of Zelda, it's like, okay, if you're still doing new stuff, that earns you 3 extra months of me not asking for those other games. And
it's something I'll give them that. And this wasn't in my list, just barely. This was very close to it, just because I think I'm more wanting some junk food in certain areas. But that Zelda game is definitely so close to my top 5 because it's unique. It's Zelda led. It's just that really simple style from Link's Awakening, and there was a lot of intricacy in there. I got some Scribblenauts vibes, where you can really break the game potentially of just sheer creativity, and just I'm ready for it for sure.
Oh yes, and because here's the thing, like such a dry year, there's still so many games that I intentionally left out, like the Rising Deluxe Remastered, the Epic Mickey remake, Silent Hill 2, the Sonic X, the Sonic X Shadow Generation like remake that they're doing, whatchamacallit, Dragon Age, the Veilguard coming on the 31st, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. There's like so much that's still out for this year that is like, I feel like I've eaten so well in what it is for 2024, and there's still so much that is like we left so many out of the list, because when I look at this entire list, I'm like, we would have stayed here much longer if it needed, but we don't need to. It's like, I feel that's still a pretty solid end of the year list for what has been a really solid 2024 that to me is like a step slightly below 2023, but it's still been a pretty robust year where at no point have I been bored, even with me like spending all that time with Rebirth. That's still after having played a bunch of stuff that I still wanted to play. Do you agree? Disagree? What do you think?
I think this year is like as great as 2025 is going to be, and the last couple of years have been at times. This 2024 is going to go down as a very interesting year for sure. And I can't believe how good we've been eating, even with me losing so much data on a lot of stuff for what I can for what I've lost and what has automatically been eliminated from my list, because I'm never going to go on, not say never, but not in a while going to go back to some of like the Rise of the Ronin and stuff, just because it's like I don't want to go through all of that again. But man, we are eating really good right now, and shout out and God bless everything going on. But I'm looking forward to everything.
Exactly. No need to like really beat that beer on the bush. Like if you love video games, it has been a video game year to worth celebrating. If you're just in your niches, it's like you really don't love new video games, because if you're willing to like look, there's so much there and offer so many great experiences. That's what I love about this kind of year, because like it's not been right at all. So Paul, that brings us to the end of this week's show. So we're not gonna read the release dates because RIP Game Informer, we lost their their order list. We still gotta figure out if we're gonna bring that segment back. But where can people find you?
As always, you can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter, and that is about it for right now. Where can they find you?
At _Drew Segovia on Twitter, Alejandro Segovia 93 on Instagram /threads, and my written content at my old content at thecriticalcorner.com, and my new content at theseasongaming.com. And you can read most of the reviews I did for 2024, and you can read my Star Wars Outlaws potential review on the 26th. So, Paul,
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure. It's great to be back, and we can be back in a more tighter feel than we used to do. It's gonna be better for you and me with that. And everyone, thank you so much for retuning back after we were gone for like an entire month. Life happens sometimes, but we're finally here, and we're gonna try to keep on trucking along. So thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, the fall is coming in. Enjoy the rest of the final days of the summer. Play a lot of games and
press X
to play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta la vista, baby.